war starts, that would be a disaster for everybody. In the previous war, we tried hard to limit the scope of war between Iran and Israel. This time, if it is between Iran and the US, since the US bases are spread all over the region, then inevitably, many parts of the region would be involved, engaged.
All right, Shalom. I'd like to start up the son call Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Harikak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, great millstone. Double honors to our elder apostle as well, the Herod one, Bunny Yashar, down here in the Lions Den camp. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth, sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. All right, Shalaki for all that. Let me refresh everything. My headphones and everything was messing up. So basically, you have the conflict that's going on between Iran and the United States, right? So what's happening is, it like the elder said in his video, Israel knows it can't take on Iran by itself. So what to do? Israel will manipulate the situation to force. Uh, to force the United States to react because they're a direct ally unto Israel. And if Israel does makes any move, that's why Trump was like so upset when he was trying to tell Netanyahu to stand down earlier in 2025, and Netanyahu, when they had a peace, he went and allegedly bombed Iran anyway. He got on there and said, "Yeah, they fucked me." Like he was hot about that because he knows he has to. However, Israel reacts, America has to act in response to it. Um, you know, supporting Israel. So that's when the elder brought out the scripture: "The least of them shall draw them out." Right? Draw them into what? Right? You have ultimately the in all tell all World War III. You see that? Ultimately, that's what it's going to draw them into. But first, what's going to happen is going to have the Battle of Armageddon or Yahweh Shaphat, which is going to be a regional war. See that? Which is going to lead up to the end all tell all. All right, before we get started, let's go ahead and do what we do. The second Ezra 15:1 says, "Speak thou, be like it, behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, because they are faithful and true." All right, which he shall put in our mouth. All right, because we've been speaking these things from the beginning. You see that? We've been speaking these things from the beginning through the spirit of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, man. All right, so now there's prophetic things that are happening on this earth as we speak, and the Lord spoke that these things are going to happen as our captivity gets turned back right before our eyes. All right, it says Iran's supreme leader makes most direct war threat yet. U.S. attack on Iran would spark a regional war. Iran's supreme leader has said after U.S. President Donald Trump suggested his administration was negotiating with Iran's officials pressured by American military force amassing nearby. So they're using the buildup or the big armada that Trump said he was bringing as a way to enforce them to come to draw conclusions due to terms that you know the U.S. deemed to be appropriate for peace terms for the situation this conflict is going on, right? Under their discretion, not having any Iranian or Persian influence at all. It's all about America's best interests. It says All right. So it says any U.S. attack on Iran would spark a regional war. Right. Like that's why also said I shall remove far from you the American armies, the northern armies that shall drive them into a land as barren and desolate. I remember the elder brought that out in a previous lesson. You know, so what is that? That's over there in the Middle East, and you know any threats towards any major threats toward because the Iran's already been saying that they'll shut down the Strait of Hormuz, right? They shut that down. That's going to cause, like the elder says, going to cause other nations have to become involved because they got that's their trade route where they get their commodities, not only from Iran but through other countries. See that? So now what it's doing is forcing. Who's forcing the hand? How about Shimei Shah? It says the Americans should know that if they start a war this time, it will be a regional war. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said on Saturday, according to remarks reposted by State Media. Why it matters. It says Trump has threatened to intervene in Iran as the regime cracked down on protesters that have taken to the streets across the country. Right. And allegedly, those protesters are agent provocateurs that were placed there, were majority of them that were placed there by the United States, allegedly. So what are they doing? They plant the seed in there to create chaos amongst the people, and then they blame the regime for doing so. How people how damn near 500,000, 300,000 people just start protesting out of nowhere, just out of nowhere. Oh, we don't like this anymore. Bow, bow, bow. You know. So now, so now, so it says. Look back to the article real quick. So it says Trump has threatened to intervene in Iran as the regime cracked down on protesters that have taken to the streets across the country since late December and over Tehran's nuclear program. The U.S. said in mid-January it was not taking any options off the table, yet Trump also appeared to roll back on his stance by saying he believed the unaliving in Iran has stopped. All right. He said no. They had what did they say? They had did something. Something had happened that Iran had hit a reverse Uno back on uh, the U.S. and caused Trump. He had to backpedal a little bit. No, I know what it was. Russia and China had stepped in and said, "Hey, um, they will be getting involved in the backing of Iran," and that's when um, allegedly President Trump said, they're not unaliving people anymore, so we don't have to take any more force. And then a week after that, they sent the USS Abraham Lincoln. So you know, whatever. But it says but Trump said on Friday, we have a lot of very big, very powerful ships sailing to Iran right now, and it would be great if we didn't have to use them. All right, that was what I was just speaking about. It says the USS Abraham Lincoln nuclear powered aircraft carrier is currently deployed in the Middle East, along with several warships and squadrons of advanced fighter jets. So it wasn't just the USS Abraham Lincoln. It was the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group. So it was a series of because you have seven submarines that follow behind the ship to protect the ship. You have other battleships and cruisers that come along with it to protect the ship. Because the aircraft carrier is real big, it's not really maneuverable, so it has to have, be accompanied with other faster and quicker responding personnel to help protect the aircraft carrier. So they sent the whole strike group over in that region to impose a threat to coerce the Ayatollah and Tehran to draw a conclusion which is more favorable to the terms that the United States want. right? So basically, forcing the hand, saying like, you don't have a dog in the fight, yield to our will. That's basically what sending that strike group was what signal it was sending. All right. This is what to know. Sometimes they talk about war and speak of aircraft and warships. This is not this is not a new thing, Camerani said on Saturday. Trump has said on Friday he had told officials in Tehran the regime must do two things to avoid American military action. Number one, no nuclear. Number two, stop unaliving protesters, he said. Ali Larijani, a top Iranian security official, said on Saturday negotiations with the United States were progressing. Demonstrations have rippled through Iran for more than a month. Protesters frustrated with Iran's limping economy quickly turning their ear toward the country's ruling clerics and oppressive regime. Oh gosh, that is wow. You can tell with the wording of this article, you can tell where it was written right here in the United States. Who is more oppressive than the United States of America, especially on its own people? You want to talk about domestic terrorism? It's like what are the unaliving of Jacob, like spiritually and physically. So I mean, you know, this regime needs not to talk because of the atrocities that this place is founded and built on. And you know what I'm saying? That's the mindset of their forefathers, and that mindset still exists in this land today. So, them speaking, forget all that. But basically, at the end of the day, the United States has no room to talk. All right. So now, but my main focus is this: what it said in the beginning. Any U.S. attack on Iran would spark a regional war. What regional war is that? Let's go to it. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 1. It says, for behold, in those days, and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down unto the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Because they're really fighting over that land over there on the Gaza Strip. That's what Iran and Israel are fighting over. Land that's not even, and substances that's not even theirs. All right. So basically, that's what he's saying. You know, um, what he's saying is what the Lord's saying is like, yo, everybody gather up right here. So what's going to happen is the least of them shall draw them out, and it's going to draw Israel, Iran, and America into a hot war. You know, hot regional war is going to bleed into other nations having to get involved. And what is that going to turn into? That's going to turn into a world war. That it says the second woe has passed. Behold, the third woe cometh quickly, and this is what's going to ignite that third woe, which ultimately going to lead to the destruction of Babylon. See that? So these things, everything happens in stages. There's a time and a season for everything under the sun. And Yahweh Shemel Shai is extremely calculated and precise with how his word goes out and comes back to him. It doesn't come back to him void. So we're going to continue to hear wars and rumors of wars, which is going to lead into this. The regional war is going to lead into. And with that, I want to say I hope this lesson was edifying and serves its purpose for the hopeful elect, the ones that truly believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yoshai. And like I said, call Halayim, La Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai, by Shem Harakak Wadash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles of the week, millstone, and double honors to our elder apostle as well, her one by Yasharla down in the Lions and Camp. Salutations to the Archon of pushing the truth, sincerity, the truth, and peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yoshai. Shalom.